Am I exaggerating with this title? Yeah, a little bit, but not really. Music streaming is dying, and you need to understand why. I'm gonna share some stuff that'll piss you off, and rightfully so. If you make music, you should care. And if you listen to music, you should care even more. Let's dive into some numbers. Last year, a staggering 81% of artists on Spotify had fewer than 1,000 monthly listeners. That's approximately 7.9 million artists struggling to gain traction compared to 1.8 million who managed to surpass that threshold. But here's the kicker. Deezer recently upped the ante by requiring 500 monthly listeners to get paid. What does this mean? Well, it sets a dangerous precedent for other streaming platforms to follow suit. Who's to say Spotify won't raise the bar next year or the year after that? What about Apple or Amazon Music? How long until they all set thresholds? Eventually, it'll render distribution to all platforms nearly useless. Artists will be forced to focus on just one platform at a time in order to maybe start making some money back. And as soon as they start to get some momentum, well, thresholds might just increase again. Spotify has essentially made the music of myself and every other independent artist valued at next to nothing, while simultaneously convincing us that it's the best place to be. They make it all fancy with algorithms, editorials, and a nice app, and while I can recognize there is some good, I think the evil far outshines that. And where do I sit as an artist with over 25,000 monthly listeners? Is that top 10%? Top 5% maybe? I don't know, but I'm sure it's pretty high. And even with that, I'm making only about $400 a month, and that's in Canadian dollars coming from 30 different platforms. I'm trying not to appear ungrateful, but surely you can see a problem with this, right? If every single one of those listeners bought my entire catalog for just $1, I'd have earned over $12,000 more than I have through all streaming platforms since 2019. Now, to be clear, I took this number and subtracted the referral income because that doesn't count as my music. But just let that sink in for a moment. That's less than half of the average yearly salary stretched over 5 long years of tireless effort and dedication. It's really sad because these platforms really push the narrative that they are the place to be. I saw this video the other day and it kind of sums up what I mean.
Spotify screams Apple. Apple has its own product that screams Google Pixel.
Like, I know he's joking, but there is some truth to it. I think there's a level of perceived value and professionalism that comes to having your music on Spotify or using Spotify. There's an even higher sense of value tied to your monthly listener count. The artists are starving and they're starting to wake up, and this year more than ever, since Spotify is taking extreme yet inaccurate measures to try and eliminate bots. Check this video. The small artists are taking a beating while bigger artists are getting rewarded. Now, I've said before that the 1,000 stream threshold isn't entirely bad, but recently my perspective has changed. I think the artists who are already doing well there should stay and reap as much reward as they can. The rest? Run far, far away. Get rid of these tech giants as best you can. Set up a shop on your own website and rally your existing fans, no matter how few, to support you directly. You don't need a verified artist badge or a high monthly listener count. What you need are people who value your craft as much as you do. And if you've got even a handful of fans following you on social media, you're already ahead of the game. Take your time, make a fire project, and start small at even just $1. Think about it. How many times do you think somebody will listen to one of your songs? 50 times? 100 times? 200 times at most? Well, it would take at least 250 streams on Spotify to make around $1. So it's already more worth your time and effort to sell it straight to them for $1. Somebody might listen to your song over 250 times throughout their lifetime, but I mean, in the first year, 2 years, like, you make music a lot. If somebody's gonna point and laugh at you for trying to sell direct to consumer, they weren't going to listen to you anyway. If somebody's willing to put your music on through Spotify and nothing else, they don't value your work either, and they're completely blinded by ignorance. Now, here's my advice for both artists and consumers. If you're thriving on Spotify, by all means, keep your music there, but reserve your best work to sell directly to fans who cherish it. Get creative with your releases, engage your audience, and don't let these corporate giants dictate your worth. As a consumer, support the artists that you love hearing from. If you're not ready to give up Spotify, you can also stream these downloaded songs directly in the app. In the Spotify settings, you can enable show local audio from this device. Now you have the best of both worlds. And please remember, if you listen to music every day, it has value, and a lot of it. Please know that these platforms do not care for artists, and we need your support. Let's try to work together to make a better world for the creatives who are often taken advantage of. Thank you for listening.